It's paperback publication day in the United Kingdom for Neighbours at Water Day. It's also D-Day and the 80th anniversary of D-Day, a very special day in the Allied history. For Jersey, I mentioned D-Day, although they obviously didn't know what that was at the time. In the book, there's from the island, the locals could hear bombing. They could see planes going past, Allied planes flying past the island. They knew something massive was going on, and they wrongly assumed that it meant the end was coming of the occupation for them. That was obviously June the 6th, 1944. It wasn't the end. There was another year to go for the island. Well, 11 months for the islanders to go until they had the relief of liberation. In fact, what D-Day meant for the islanders was the supply lines for any food or supplies being cut that the Germans brought in. So, of course, what little food they could bring in for themselves and what little supplies they could bring in for themselves that may make them their way into the island somehow, those supply routes were cut. So everybody was starving, and that was the culmination of a huge amount of suffering for the islanders and the Nazi soldiers as well, because there was no food for anybody. There were no supplies for anybody. There wasn't much before that, but there was obviously none coming in at all after D-Day. So it probably meant something entirely different to the islanders than it did to everyone else in the UK. I mean, imagine seeing the planes going by, bombings happening out at sea, and things are happening. And then after all that goes on for days and days, nothing happens for you. So it must have been really, really frightening after that for the islanders. I do cover that in Neighbours at War a bit, and how they felt, and the excitement, the noise, the barrage of bombings. Yeah, it was a lot. So it meant different things to different people. Here on the island, we have tonight at Noirmont a massive beacon being lit as part of the celebrations of the memories of D-Day, and it's wonderful that the islands are taking part in that. That's up at Noirmont. If you come to the island, you'll be able to visit many bunkers up at Noirmont. It's filled with bunkers, really. So it's publication day, only in the UK for the paperback. It's out everywhere, though, in ebook and audiobook, which is nice. I'm afraid in the US and Canada, you'll have to wait until September for the paperback if you're wanting it. And I believe somebody told me that it's out in July, I think, in New Zealand. I could be wrong, but I believe that's correct. So if you do have a copy, thank you very much. You can see these are my copies, all I've got left of the 20 author copies that I'm sent by HarperCollins. I've had to actually personally order another 20 for myself. We get sent 20 free books every time we have a book out. But I've got a large family, and I've had various visitors and things like that. And I've given them copies of the book. So I'm running very low, as you can see. But I should have more by the end of the week, which is nice, because I obviously like to I have my studio out here. I like to have some here. And I also have a small office in the house. It was a box bedroom that's no longer used, and I've been using it as an office for quite a few years now. And I have a big bookcase there where I keep other copies of my books. The sun doesn't reach in there quite the same way as it does here. So obviously I want copies I can keep that aren't ruined by being bleached by the sun. So this is very exciting. I loved writing this book. As I've said before, it is inspired by a news story, as I also said before. And I hope the people who read it enjoy it. Early reviews were incredible. I've never had reviews quite like it. I've had excellent reviews before, which is amazing. But you always get negative ones, obviously. And I'll no doubt get negative ones for this one too, because not everybody likes the same thing. But the vast majority have been really, really wonderful. So thank you so much from the bottom of my heart if you're one of the reviewers who've reviewed my book and loved it. I really, really do appreciate that. I will be spending the day with a little celebration. As I said last week in my video, I'm actually going to celebrate the launch properly towards the end of the month, at the end of June, with the real baby Bobby, who's now in his 80s, his wife, his nephew, and a friend, and the daughter of one of the ladies who helped hide the real baby Bobby and the real Helen. So that's going to be really exciting, and I can't actually wait. But yes, so I'm going to go now, and I've filmed some content. I actually filmed it just before, but it's so hot in here that I've had to come back and change because, you know, there's a slight breeze outside. There isn't a slight breeze in here. So I've had to change. So if I'm wearing different clothes, that's why. But I have filmed some content on a couple of locations used in my book because I know that my readers, a lot of my readers do like to know the settings. And I've had quite a few of them come over to actually visit some of the settings, which is wonderful. So I really appreciate that too. So if you read Neighbours at War, I hope you enjoy it. Just a quick one for me this week because I do have a lot to actually be getting on with. And mostly I should be writing the book for next year that I'm loving writing, but I've changed the point of view. But when I say the change, I haven't changed the point of view at all. But I have changed the tense. So it means starting from the beginning and changing it from third person to first person because it's more immediate and it definitely is needed for that book. All these books are third person with different points of view throughout the books. That book needed something different because it is actually a different book. So that's what I'll be doing this afternoon. So I hope you have a lovely day, and look, I've got a coffee. Enjoy.